Brice Sensabaugh's massive night against the Chicago Bulls. What does it mean for Brice? Where does it vault him in the young guy top 7 rankings that we do after game 40? Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast in Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network. I just paused because I just started with such a bolt of energy, and I listen to all my podcasts at 1.2 speed. And if any of you are listening to this at 1.2 speed with that kind of energy, I must be going super fast. So I will slow down so that those of you at 1.2 speed do not think I'm insane. All right. Everydayers, you're the greatest. Thanks so much for being part of the show. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. What are we going to do on today's show for you? We are going to do our points gained check like we always do on Thursdays. Thursdays is points gained Thursday, so we bring that to you every single Thursday of the program. Peyton Watson of Denver has grabbed this opportunity and exploded. He is a restricted free agent in the offseason. Is he somebody that we should suddenly be looking at as a possibility for the Utah Jazz in the off money that we have? Denver's notoriously cheap. We'll look at that. Every 10 games of this NBA season, we vowed at the beginning of the year that we would rank our 7 young players, not including Walker and not including Ace Bailey, and rank them in most likely to be in the rotation the next time the Jazz play a playoff game. That is the thing, and we will do that. But we are starting with the incredible night by Brice Sensabaugh. That was so cool. So I really like Brice. I actually, when I say that, I got to tell you guys, there's not, these guys are all delightful. Keontae has grown up to be extremely delightful and was very closed and standoffish when he was young in his first year or two with us, and is not that way at all. And Isaiah is delightful, and Flip is super interesting and would love to talk to Flip more about things. I think Flip has been through the media gamut a little bit with Duke and all the stuff around draft and is a little closed because of that. But when I say I really like one of these guys, I actually sometimes get nervous that it implies that there are we actually have delightful young men on our team. And it is probably my most favorite part of this job, is getting to know them, watching someone like Keontae grow up, watching, like I have a call today with Gordon Hayward, and being able to see that, being able to talk to Donovan about his engagement. I'm not friends with these guys in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to mislead you in that. I'm just simply saying that you get to watch them. They are now the age of my children. That's the lens by which I am looking at them. I think I have said this a million times, but my kids are normal kids. My son has a regular job being paid a regular salary, nothing miraculous. And if I had my choice of my son he's the same age as Walker. If I had my choice of my son having my son's life or Walker's life, 100 out of 100 times, I would have my son have his life instead of Walker's life. My daughter is the same age as Keontae. And I understand that both Walker and Keontae are going to make $100 million. And I would give 10 out of 10 times my daughter to have her life and whatever struggles she has coming instead of Keontae's. I think these guys live a really difficult, very, very hard. I know the money's incredible, but that doesn't actually make you wake up in the morning and have happiness. It just doesn't. It gives you opportunity and all sorts of stuff. We can have a long discussion about the value of money, but when you're 22, it does not bring you happiness. So for someone like Brice Sensabaugh to have last night is so great It makes me so happy for him. And to see him run and grab that basketball after the game and know that he had a historic night and he dropped 40. It's easy to say there's a lot of guys in the league and drop 40. There aren't, but actually there's more than you would think. But I don't care. You dropped 40 in an NBA game, and it wasn't even an April NBA game, frankly. There's a lot of guys that have dropped 40 in an April NBA game. So for Brice to do that is great. And then when you dig into it a little bit, Brice has not had the kind of year that I would think we would expect Brice to have. Like, if you dig into Brice's numbers, there's some funky stuff going on. Like, his catch and shoot number is 36%, which is kind of fine. But honestly, what we probably want out of Brice is that catch and shoot number to be 40%, to be an elite shooter. His above the break 3-point shooting coming into last night's game was 29%. His corner three shooting, he was 21 of 54. So, like Will Hardy said it last year, that in the press conference that last year, they really worked with Brice to become this catch and shoot guy. He has a little bit of a hard time getting that shot off. The window closes on him fairly quickly. And so they've been working really, really hard last year, particularly with Brice, to see if they could get him to get his shot off faster, have a better base, be a quicker release. And it was a lot of work, but at the same time, Brice has a lot more in his bag. And he is a bona fide NBA scorer. The trouble, and we're gonna discuss this with a lot of the players today when we do our top 7. The problem is Brice shouldn't always be the top scorer on the floor. Like, he's like, there are other guys that are now have your same role that are really good at it. Last night, what's so great about Brice, that he got to the rim and exploded better the basket. He played in all 3 levels, which makes him special, makes him a unique player. He went 5 of 7, which is unusual. It's very good, but he had an unusual night. 5 of 7 in the mid-range. And then he got to the rim he recognized the Bulls. The Bulls allow the most amount of shots of any team at the rim. He went 5 of 5 at the rim. And he then hit his threes. He went 5 of 10 from 3, 4 of 9 from above the break, which is just great. But it showed the full array of everything that Brice Sensabaugh has and offers, which is super hard in the NBA, and probably the biggest challenge we're going to talk about the 7 young guys, non-Ace Bailey, non-Walker Kessler. What's super hard for all these guys is trying to show all of their skills, because you just don't really get that opportunity in the NBA. It's how you fit into the ecosystem that exists on the team that you're on, and then what opportunities you get from there. But you don't get to go to Ohio State as the best player as a freshman and just go into your bag every single time. That's what Brice did in college. And so for him last night, without Lowry and to get into his bag coming off the bench, frankly, pretty great. And to show all of those skills. Now, does that mean that if every single night he had that opportunity, he doesn't? No, probably not. And does it mean that that's the level which he's going to have success in the league? No, probably not. He probably has to figure out how to be a 18-minute a night off the bench player. He's not athletically elite. He doesn't move laterally particularly well. He's defensively, he has some problems. He's still young, and he makes a mistake a night that makes coaches get gray hair. And so he's going to have to actually figure out the far more difficult thing, which is, how do I show what I showed last night in 19 minutes a night? Now, he's been playing much, much more than that, which has been good for him. But in the long term, that's probably the answer from second most points ever in the history of the Utah Jazz off the bench. It's just such a great night for Brice. You see him walking off the plane last night with that basketball under his arm. He's got, these guys all have the skills. We're going to talk about these 7 guys. They all have marvelous, marvelous skills. They're some of the 450 greatest players in the world. And can they become some of the 300 greatest players in the world is the first step, where you're a regular, really probably 250. Can you get to the top 250 where you're a regular rotation player in the NBA? And then, like Keontae is, can you vault into the top 100 NBA players in the NBA? That's the game we're playing with these kids. And it's so fun to watch. And Bryce's night last night just was electrifying. And he did it all. And he kept, I mean, that first, when he was hot, it was ridiculous. But he has those skills. He has that in his bag. He's able to get the shots off. He understands the angles. He has the physical strength. He can bully people a little bit. He really came into the league fully bullying people and has had to evolve out of that a little bit. And then, as Will talked about, they kind of put him into the catch and shoot box, and now he's trying to come back out of it a little bit. And as he's played 30 minutes, I do think there is something to Bryce that if he's more, I think he's more comfortable as a starter. Other players. Now, last night he came off the bench, so that may not be true. But I think when he's the primary number one scorer on the floor, I do think maybe sometimes that's not his greatest spot to be, where if he can play with other players, get the open three with a little bit more space, or be able to take advantage of that closeout and attack a closeout, I think that is where he's at his best. The comp I have for him still is Gary Trent. Gary Trent Jr., who's bounced around a little bit and is a really pretty good shooter. The question, honestly, on Bryce in his long term is just where that shooting is. Is he a shooter or is he a scorer? Gary Trent's a shooter. And I think Will Hardy and the Jazz were right last year that they need him to be a little bit more of a shooter than a scorer. What a night. So super special. One to never forget for Brice Sensabaugh. Absolutely fabulous. It's game 40. We rank the Jazz players, young players, 1 through 7, all third draft picks, third year and below. So Keontae, Bryce, and Taylor, Cody, Isaiah, and Flip, and Walter Clayton. We rank those 7 guys, Walker and Acer excluded from this, in most likely to be on the Jazz when we play our next playoff game. Next on Locked On Jazz, we do this every 10 games. Thursday edition of Locked On Jazz today is brought to you by our good friends over at Wayfair. It is the new year. It is time to spice things up at the house, make everything look a little bit better and more complete, and that's where Wayfair comes in. It's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's the one-stop shop for getting your home back on track, from bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room. Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place, whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your home for home setup. Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. I picked up new bedding, accepted pillows from Wayfair, and it's completely changed how my bedroom feels. It's cleaner, calm, and more put together. I love that I can find pieces that match my style without spending a fortune. Shopping is easy. Delivery is smooth. Everything arrives exactly as expected. Honestly, made getting back into the routine, it's new year, feel a lot more manageable. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home over at Wayfair. Thanks so much for being Locked On Jazz, your first listen of the day, and thank you for being a Locked On Everydayer and making us the #1 sports podcast network. If you want to be a part of it, the Everydayer All Access Club is super fun. We are trying to build up the Discord account to be like a nice, safe place for Twitter. I literally went into a Twitter cesspool last night and got myself super depressed about the world and my life and all sorts of stuff. So be careful. I did it to myself last night. And it got me this morning in some conversations. So my bad. But anyway, we're trying to have a nice, safe place for you with Discord where you can talk with other Jazz fans, interact. I'll drop in little notes for you, share statistics for you. You get that plus the Locked On Sports Today exclusive audio content and ad-free, and Locked On Jazz ad-free. That's for you for $5 a month. And then All Access Club, Leaf Tulane put out another great episode on who's the best fit for the Utah Jazz, getting you ready for the draft with all of his college stuff, because I don't do that stuff. So it gives you that extra content. You get the daily newsletter from me on every show. You get my quick notes. You got the quick note about Lowry being sick yesterday. You got the starting lineups when they came out. You get my daily prep sheets on the games. all for you. Get some of my thoughts on things as well. Tomorrow is an Ask LOJ edition. You'll get questions on the show if you're an All Access member. Plus, you get access to the team store or the Locked On merchandise store and 15% off in the merch store, all for being part of the Everydayer Club. All Access, that's $15 a month and $150 a year, 2 months off for you. Go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. All right, this is just a status check, and we've changed it it changes every single time we do it. So there's nothing set in stone here. This is ranking the Jazz young 7, not counting Ace. Ace has to make it. If he doesn't make it, we're set. We don't make the playoffs. It's that simple. The young 7 on who is in the Jazz rotation most likely when the Jazz play their next playoff game. And this was the question I asked every guest I had all summer long. All right, so Keontae is number 1. Came back to life a tiny bit in the last 10 games, shooting 46% from the field and 35% from 3 and still 90% from the line. And that's so great because he actually came back to life and was still awesome. 23 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. He wasn't shooting 45% from 3 or something crazy anymore. He wasn't averaging 30 points a game anymore, which is just, we're not sustainable. But he scored 23 points and 16 shot attempts. So Keontae's last 10 games, to me, are actually some of the most exciting. He played 9 of the 10. Some of the most exciting because of the fact that it literally lets him it shows like this, I think, has begun. If this becomes his baseline, holy crap. Like 23 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 46% from the field, 35% from 3. I will say, I do think you have to be a little careful with numbers. Ball handlers have the ball in their hands so much that they put up numbers. But Keontae's are all efficient right now. So it doesn't bother me. I just think you have to be a little careful with everyone scoring. There's a lot of scoring in the league. There's a lot of game going on. By the way, quick note, free throws are fully dropped in the league right now. Super interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. So I do think that I think they're cutting the offense back again. They're redoing the rules like they did 2 years ago. And I think that's an interesting, so just keep an eye on that. Number 2 on my list after the last 10 games, and I will admit I kind of made it before last night, is Walt Clayton Jr. I was wildly impressed by Walter Clayton Jr.'s last 10 games. He didn't play in one of them. Closing games, in control, showing some moxie, showing the national champion, showing his age. He shot 42% from 3. He shot 43% from the field. He averaged 10 points and 3 assists. And I was really impressed by what I saw out of Walt in the last 10 games. And one of the things that's most interesting to me about Walt right now is I do not think he's a comfortable catch and shoot player at all. And he is a comfortable off the bounce 3-point shooter. And he started the year 6 of 33 on pull-up threes. And it's now coming around that he's figured out that shot. And I think we're going to see him making the off the bounce 3 more and more here coming up. And as he does, I think it got a little fast for him. That's the shot that made him who he is in college. I think he made 100 more off the bounce threes than anyone else in the draft last year. So this was the shot that made him special last year. And then all of a sudden it went away from him when he got to the NBA. And so the fact that he lost his go-to move and has been okay, to me, is super exciting. He's now 14 of 49 on off the bounce threes. Well, as I mentioned, he started the year 6 of 33. So if he started 6 of 33, he's now 8 of his last 16. That's 50% on off the bounce threes. That's a game changer. You shoot 35, 36% on off the bounce threes, and you really have it. So my last 10 games, I was very excited about what I saw out of Walter Clayton. So I have put Walter Clayton as number 2 on my list of most likely players to be on the Jazz roster the next time the Jazz play a playoff game behind Keontae George after game 40 of the NBA. I reserve the right to change that. I think he was 5 a week, like last time. Number 3 on my list, and I have been on this island for a while. By the way, actually, one other note on Walt Clayton. I don't think he looks comfortable shooting catch and shoot threes, okay? Because he didn't take a lot of them in college, and so I think he's had to learn this. On that note, he's shooting 38, 39% on shots where I don't think he looks entirely comfortable. I think he could be like a 42, 43% catch and shoot guy here at some point. All right. Cody Williams is my number 3 guy. There's still so far to go on the shooting. There's still so far to go on the strength, but we are clearly seeing the elite flashes and ability that he has to be able to make plays. He's becoming a driver, not a shooter. Chad Forcier is doing an incredible job with him, Jazz assistant coach. He has got elite driving ability as he can play off one foot. I thought his defensive first quarter last night was as good a defensive first quarter as I've seen by any of our players in a really, really long time. And I just was wildly impressed by his last 10 games, bouncing back, showing some confidence, playing, being a defensive player. I think he could be a 5th starter on a high-volume starting lineup. He's obviously got to find a way to shoot 35% from 3. That's the benchmark that's going on there. But if you're also, the question is going to be a rotation player on the next time the Jazz are a playoff team. That's a few years away, maybe next year, maybe the year after. And I think that giving Cody that time, I've put him on the 3rd spot. Brice Sensabaugh slides into the 4th spot last night. I didn't move him. It's where he was before the night started. So there was no recency bias here. He's certainly probably, Cody and Walter and none of these other guys can probably drop 40. That's the essence of what makes Brice Sensabaugh who he is he can drop 40 points in a ball game. And I think it's, that's his offensive greatness. He's got to figure out a way to be there defensively. I think he's gotten better. He's worked on his body, continues to move. He's slow, herky-jerky offensive game that can score and will be able to score. And I'm very excited, most excited to see what last night does for him for the next 10 games. I then have Isaiah Collier next on my list. He continues to have the ability. This is not an easy thing to do. He continues to have the ability that he gets in the game and changes the tempo of the game the minute he gets on the floor. Oh, wait. One more note about Brice. Brice played, in the last 10 games, Brice played 30 minutes a night. He averaged 16 points a game playing 30 minutes a night. He only took 12 shots a game, which is great. He shot 50% from the field. He only shot 33% from 3. Last night, vaulting that number up. He was below 30% the last 10 games from 3. Before that, as Brice gets more comfortable, picks his spots, gets better at the catch and shoot stuff. I mean, if he really can become a 38, 39% dead-eye shooter that everyone thinks he can be, then that will vault him up the list. And so, honestly, him being at 4th on this list for Brice was that I was concerned before last night about his shooting. The sub 30% on above the break 3-point shooting had me concerned and had him come down the list. That was why. Last night, he obviously showed it. Okay, back to Isaiah Collier. Isaiah had 24 minutes a night, played all 10 games, and he has the amazing ability to impact the game the minute he touches the floor. I am not sure. I'm going to just be totally, this is probably a ridiculous comment. I am a little lost on whether or not Isaiah is having a positive influence offensively or not. The reason I say this is I know the tempo he creates is so vital, and I know his paint touches are so vital. So my instinct is to say, yes, absolutely. And he makes so many plays, and he gets in the paint, and he does all these different things. My concern is on the half-court possessions. I would really like, I don't have this data. I'll try to see if I can figure out. What is our half-court offense numbers when Isaiah Collier's in the game? because it's strange to have a point guard that doesn't shoot, doesn't get to the line, and is just distributing passes. It's almost Ish Smith-esque. It's actually a really good comp, actually, is Ish Smith. Now, Isaiah's getting to the basket and figuring out how to get to the basket and shooting 56% on it. He's going to have to find the floater little mid-range game in here somewhere. And obviously, he just doesn't take the three. He's 5 of 16 in the last 10 games on threes. But he also only went to the line 20 times. He only made 10 of those free throws. So some of those issues just kind of is probably why Bryce, Cody, and Walt were ahead of him. But, like, I also think that the ability to impact the game on a nightly basis is just awesome. Then we have Kyle Filipowski next on the list. Kyle makes so many basketball plays that are elite. Like that, he made a pass last night. He sees the game in a different way. His ability to rebound and go, his skill set really is masterful. I do not know how to use him. I, right now, cannot look at Kyle Filipowski and figure out what he does as an NBA rotation player. He's just not quite as big as Kelly Olynyk. I know that's the comp everybody wants. Frankly, he's the same size as Taylor Hendricks and Ace Bailey when you really get down to it. His wingspan is 8'11", the same as theirs. He's the same size as they are. He's really a small forward. Or maybe a power forward, not a center. Last night shows me he's not a center. Nikola Vucevic had a career, his season high, one of the best games he's had in like 4 or 5 years. He just took Filipowski down low and hooked over him all night long. He scored like 12 points in the opening 5 minutes. That is because Nurk was out and because Kevin Love is out, Kyle Filipowski has to play that position, and that's not what he's good. So I would like to eliminate Kyle Filipowski as a center in the NBA. We are not going to be able to do that on this roster. I thought we were going to try to do that in Summer League, and then he dominated as a center in Summer League, so then it was weird. I would like to eliminate Kyle Filipowski as a center. I think it's super interesting that Kyle Filipowski and Lauri Markkanen's numbers are really good together. I would be curious on what Kyle Filipowski and Yusuf Nurkic's numbers are together. I would like to see, I don't know, can Kyle Filipowski switch enough defensively that he can play a wing? Because his passing's great. His straight line driving, he's been working with Mike Williams, has gotten so much better. And if he's playing guys that are all smaller than him, he's now able. But when he tries to drive on guys that are the same size, he gets blocked every time. That play last night where I thought broke the offense, in my opinion, to go try to take Vucevic late in the game and got stuffed. Like, that's just not a good play. I understand you're trying to make a play and your intentions are great, but that's just not a good play. And particularly when Keontae and Bryce are on the floor and they're rolling. And frankly, I think your job at that point is I might be wrong. I think your job is to pull them out of the lane right now, bring Vooch out by playing the handoff game because Vooch can't move, and get Keontae and Bryce by Vooch out away from the basket, not driving straight on Vooch so he can be at the basket. Like I didn't like that play. Can you tell? So I thought, like, I just don't have, like, right now, the concept is rotation player next time the Jazz are in the playoffs. I just am, Flip is on this list where he is, not because of lack of skill. His skill's incredible. His ability to play inside the NBA game is remarkable. I can't figure out what his position is. I just can't figure out what he's doing. I think he's a wing. I think it would be nice if somehow he got to play wing for the next 35 games, and then if he can't guard on the wing, it's a problem. He would be called, if he plays wing, someone's listening to this right now, they're like, what are you talking about? If he plays wing, they're going to call him out. They're going to run a small pick and roll, and he's going to be on every point guard in the world. I got it. But, like, we got to figure it out. He's not a center. And then his shooting over the last 10 games has not been good. So, you couple those two things, and then he's shot 24% from three over the last 10 games, playing 20 minutes a night. And shooting 41% overall. Well, okay, well, if you're a wing, that doesn't work either. But we'll figure it out. He's so skilled. And, again, I never believe that second-year players get better from their first year. I just don't. It doesn't happen very often. You see it in the third year. You saw Bryce explode last night. We'll see if he can now build off that. We've seen Keontae in his third year. We're going to see Isaiah and Flip and Cody in their third year next year. And we saw Walker in the third year. So let's not, that's just where we are today. All right, quick points gained coming up next. Peyton Watson's the story of the NBA. We might have to push points gained. We're so far behind. We might have to push points gained till tomorrow. It is Locked On Jazz, or maybe it's an all-access only episode. maybe that's what it is. Tomorrow's an Ask LOJ edition, so make sure you jump in on, send me your questions at dlock09 on X or at dlock09@gmail.com. We'll talk Peyton Watson, no points gained next on Locked On Jazz.
I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. That's ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. Ethos.com/LockedOnNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
I went super long on that last segment, probably because we usually do it in 2. So points gained will drop into an all-access bonus segment. So anybody who's an everydayer, you'll get your points gain breakdown today. I might start doing that with late game watch a little bit as well. Some of the more national things I do, I think if you're an everydayer, all access member, and you're a diehard, you probably would love that kind of stuff. So if you want to be an all access everyday member, go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Peyton Watson's going off. Peyton Watson is the Denver Nuggets 6'8", 200-pound wing, kind of what we don't have, frankly. And Peyton Watson, since Nikola Jokic has gone out, is helping Denver stay above water and is having a massive stretch. So in the last 9 games that Peyton Watson has played for the Denver Nuggets, they're 6-3. He is shooting 51% from the floor, 44% from 3. He is averaging 24 points a game, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. And he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year, and the Denver Nuggets are financially hamstrung. This guy's for the taking. Maybe not that simple. They might have to move Cameron Johnson. They might have to move Aaron Gordon, which I don't think they would want to do. They were going to win the title this year, so they will be very happy, but the Cronkies have never – yeah, I did just throw that out there. The Cronkies have never wanted to pay next year. Jokic is making 62. Murray's making 53. Gordon's making 34. Zeke Najee's on the books for 7. Christian Brown, who they may have made a mistake on, is on the books for 23. Cameron Johnson is on the books, or 21. Cameron Johnson's on the books for 23. Actually, I had the numbers wrong. I was a year ahead. Jokic is 59. Murray's 50. Gordon's 31. Cameron Johnson's 23. Zeke Najee's on the books for 7. Cameron Brown's on the books for 21.5. Deron Holmes on the book for 3, and Julian Strawther for 4. Peyton Watson is a restricted free agent. They don't have it. They unless they're going into the tax, they do not have the room with those numbers to be able to sign Peyton Watson. So the Jazz can suddenly play a restricted free agent game. So can Brooklyn. But I think Peyton Watson is vaulting himself to the top of the list right now of players that people are going to look at. And Watson's really interesting. In a lot of ways, maybe Watson's more interesting than Austin Reeves. Reeves is such an incredible offensive player, one of the best pick-and-roll players. But Watson's 6'8", 200. And if you believe he's a good defensive player, he was the 30th pick of the first round of an NBA draft. He played almost none at UCLA and has been kind of working his way back through the NBA. And he is exploding in his 4th season after only playing 23 games his first year, after hardly playing at UCLA for a year. To some extent, what he's doing is exploding in his 3rd year at 23 years old. He's kind of following the natural growth projection of why we shouldn't ever do every 10-game reports on all of our guys like we just did. He's a career 35% three-point shooter who this year is shooting 41%, probably a little bit of an outlier. He is becoming a better rebounder. He is becoming a better assist guy. It's pretty fascinating stuff to look at him, and he is 23 years old, would completely match our timeline, and we do not have a 6'8", 220-pound player like right now. Cody Williams would be that guy, but he's not there. Taylor Hendricks, I didn't even include him on the list. He's just getting a pass for the season. We do not have this type of wing player on our roster. Should Peyton Watson be our target? Pretty interesting. Let's keep watching it. That is Locked On Jazz today. Please sign up to be an everyday. I want that Discord to be rocking. I want us to be talking Peyton Watson today, right now on the Discord. I'm going to go post it, see what everyone says. Austin Reeves, Peyton Watson, which would you rather go after? Maybe Brooklyn goes after Austin Reeves and we can slide in and go get Peyton Watson. Which would you like? Let's talk about it. Let's have a good basketball discussion on Discord. Exclusive content to our Discord if you join our Everyday Club. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Follow me on my socials. You can get all sorts of stupid stuff from me at DLock09 on Twitter, Instagram, X. Those are all there for you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Tomorrow is an Ask LOJ edition, so please send me your questions about Locked On Jazz. Right now, we send you the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel, Locked On NBA Plus on audio. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night.